aliens were some pretty awesome creatures. I just love looking at still shots of them because no matter what still you put them in, they're interesting to look at. Like you're looking at someone's finished concept art. But the question that was on everyone's mind is, why did the aliens in the movie come to Earth? We saw later on in the movie, the white spikes were not the ones who were piloting the ship. I never thought they were. Instead, we see these humanoid-looking advanced race of aliens that were clearly the pilots. We now know that the aliens were here for a very long time, possibly well before humans or before we had the technology to detect them. Us modern humans have only been around for 200,000 years. We only started entering the main era of technology in the 18th century. We started using metal 6,000 years ago. Humans started using radar in 1935, and we didn't put our first satellite in the sky until 1957. So it's possible that even if the humans did see a spaceship fall through the sky, they probably wouldn't have thought anything of it other than it just being a very large meteor. We also don't know the impact it would have had, and the ship did not look as though it was very deep in the ice, at least not initially when they blew it up. And after we see this little cabin, take a look at the position of the humans and the impact that those TNT or whatever those explosives were made. They go inside the hole, and somehow there's a perfect tunnel. And they don't have to dig very deep before finding the ship, which seems to have been sitting right under the ice, frozen. Despite that, these guys were only able to find these aliens because, well, their devices started going haywire. It's quite easy to find something if you know where to look. So let's say these aliens were at the least preserved in this ice for 1,000 years. It's a pretty long time for the aliens to be in stasis. Notice how well the alien pilots were preserved. We gotta remember, it's also extremely cold in the ship. So these creatures are probably iced over right now, frozen stiff. Now, here's the big question. Why did they crash? Well, I have some theories. Could have been a miscalculation of Earth's gravitational pull, and the only reason I would arrive at that theory is because there doesn't seem to be any aliens or signs of any other aliens that were loose on the ship. Or there is an alien loose on the ship, or was, and it got out of cryosleep somehow and caused them to crash. Maybe they were able to kill it, but it was already too late and they lost control of the ship. Or maybe the alien killed them, shooting one of those spiky things in its chest or something, and the white spike roamed on the ship, and when the ship crashed, maybe they died or froze to death. The white spikes are still alive because they're in these chambers that protect them from the elements. This is a special kind of advanced cryo chamber that's a very heavy liquid, and you can see the big queen in the middle, but as we learn later, these are not the only aliens on the ship. I guess they thought by injecting them that they would just die quietly. And as you can see with these chambers, they're kind of like egg sacs that if the aliens push hard enough, they can get out with enough pressure. So it's possible that one of the white spikes could have gotten loose, and we would know, and it would have been shown in the ship because we didn't see all of the chambers before the aliens broke loose. Not to mention, Dorian blew up the ship and sacrificed his life to save the others. Who knows if there were other aliens on the ship as well, other species. They didn't explore the entirety of the ship after all, before blowing it up, due to time being of the essence. So there's our theory on what might have happened to lead them to crash. But here's the other question, the main question of this video. Why did they come to Earth? For them to have been so close to Earth, they had to have been purposefully coming to Earth. Maybe they had already detected that humans were becoming a thing and wanting to cleanse the planet. I did say in previous videos that it's almost as though they came here before humans were a thing. But as I thought about it after making that video, it doesn't make sense. Unless they came here specifically for minerals. And then what would have been the sense of planting these aliens on the planet? Unless they wanted to cleanse the Earth of all life like dinosaurs. I think that's what I said earlier on in this video. That they probably came here when humans were still a thing, when humans were becoming, I guess, what would be the equivalent of a threat to other sentient alien races. The aliens might have detected this and decided to pay Earth a visit to exterminate the humans before they actually became a technological threat. I mean, if you knew there was another race out there that were as intelligent as you and you saw them quickly growing technologically, you'd probably get kind of paranoid too. It's the reason why everybody all over this freaking globe has nukes. And it's sad, but that's the reality of tribalism and human nature, and even animals. You just can't can't trust other members of your species that are not directly members of your family. Everyone wants to survive, everyone wants to compete for the same resources, females, land, and they will stop at nothing to get it from you. Yeah, it's possible that those pilot creatures, species, things, probably wanted the planet for its minerals and resources, or the planet for themselves, and they sent the creatures here as cargo to cleanse it. White spikes act as locusts, eating everything and reproducing too fast whenever there's no population control. I do like in the movie that they showcase the white spikes chasing horses. Now I'm gonna go frame by frame here. These are wild horses. Just take a look at the horses running and how beautiful it is. And then on the left-hand side, you can see the white spikes. One running on the beach, one coming up from the water, as though they were hiding in the water this whole time, waiting to ambush the horses. When you really slow things down, you get to see the beauty of the creatures, how fast they're able to move, and these horses are running very fast. The creatures just come out of nowhere, almost like they were hiding in the shallow sand of the beach, and the horses see them and continue running. But these creatures, as you can see, are just about as big as the horses are. So you have these horses that are known to be very fast-moving animals. Horses generally can run from speeds of 25 to 30 miles per hour. At least this is when we're talking about wild horses. The fastest Mustang has been recorded at 55 miles per hour, but again, that is not the average. When you figure that these horses are going through adrenaline and running at the fastest that they can, let's say up to 50 miles per hour, watching these creatures being able to overtake them so easily, not just in speed, but also in their numbers, is very disconcerting and proves that these animals are very good at purging life on the planet. Look at how they surround these horses and close them into the water, how they coordinate this attack. The horses didn't stand a chance. And I love that they showed that scene in the movie because it also shows us that these aliens are not just here for humans. They're here for anything they can get their hands on. I just think that the pilot aliens didn't really care whether or not the white spikes killed other animals. I think they personally just wanted the humans gone. It's also possible that the pilot aliens saw humans as just regular old animals, just like pigs, goats, and horses that were no more advanced than they were, and they just wanted to cleanse everything. Humans always want to feel centralized, like everything revolves around them when it comes to movies. It must have been something that we did. It must be because we're so intelligent. But in actuality, when you really think about it, if a very advanced alien race were to come to this planet, they would probably see humans the same way that many humans in general see other primates. I think it very odd that humans are so closely related to creatures like chimpanzees and gorillas, yet find nothing wrong with keeping creatures that are so closely related to them in zoos and cages, just because they don't speak human language and use the technology that humans use. It's very odd. Even after countless proof and research has shown that chimpanzees can communicate with humans across species and understand them. They know how to laugh, cry. They know how to use a tablet. They understand what their reflection is and their sense of self. And they can even learn to directly talk to humans through sign language and expression. But human beings keep their cousins, their literal cousins, in cages and zoos for entertainment. What more would the aliens think that are highly advanced and come from a different galaxy or planetary system to human beings that probably only resemble them in proportion? They would probably look at human technology and think of it the way we think of ants building their anthill. So everything humans would deem important, these aliens would see it as just termites or pests that need to be cleansed from the planet to make the planet livable. Just like when humans build a house on a landscape. Despite all the animals that lived in the trees or the fields there, they have no problem mowing down their homes to make way for their house. And when the creatures that were native there, like the field mice, after many months suddenly see this big edifice in the middle of their home and they enter it, they are quickly dealt with so that they know they are no longer welcome in what used to be their home. So the way that humans treat other animals is most likely the way another advanced race more advanced than humans would treat humans and all the other animals. We would be no different than the pigs and sheep or ants that we step on a mundane basis on our planet. So that's probably the reason why these pilot engineer type aliens would release the white spikes on the planet. But then after doing so, cargo to cleanse the planet for their home or whatever they need it for, how would they reclaim the planet? Regardless of whether they were doing this, whether it's because they actually do see humans as a threat, or just because they want the planets and the humans not a threat, they're just a nuisance or pests, they would have to reclaim the planet from the white spikes. The aliens probably have a failsafe like another creature from their planet that they would release to hunt the white spikes into extinction, or maybe just back to a regular population size. The pilot aliens probably operate like the Yautja from Predator, and for all you know, they probably released them there so they could hunt them. But I don't think that's the case. Also, we have to bear in mind that the humans didn't see all of the ship, so there could have been other sentient aliens there as well. Otherwise, the plan would have been for these guys, the pilots, to drop off the white spikes and leave them to do their job and purge the planet, and then come back later to see if everything was ready. Kind of like fog bombing a room that has fleas, and then coming back in the morning to see if all the fleas are dead, or knowing that it's been 24 hours and you can breathe properly. So that's my guess, being that the white spikes were the cargo, and a lot of them were there, and they were so close to Earth, this cargo alien advanced technology ship, it had to have been coming to Earth on purpose to drop these things off so that they could prepare the planet. There's no other reason they would have an army of white spikes, knowing how prolific they are with breeding, how aggressive they are, how they're perfect for any environment, able to swim, run, glide, jump, and fight, without the reason having been that they knew that these were like locust or termite creatures that would kill and eat everything in sight. What I found very interesting is after I made the comparison with ants and termites, I looked up the inspiration for the Tomorrow War aliens, and I found this article on Sci-Fi Wire that said that Tomorrow War looked at termites and John Carpenter to create the ultimate alien. He said,
I wanted them to feel old. I wanted them to feel ancient. I wanted a lot of texture. I kept talking about how I wanted history in their design. I wanted to see beyond the edges of the frame as far as what happened to them. I wanted nicks, cuts, scratches, psoriasis. I wanted them to feel hungry at all times. That was very informative to the design. I wanted them to feel like they had an insatiable appetite. I wanted them to have teeth that felt like a dental nightmare. And then I wanted them to have feral intelligence.
How dare you talk to me like that?
so we know that the white spikes had to be monstrous. They had to be a force to be reckoned with that things on planet Earth could not contend with. Creature concept designer Ken Bartholomew, of course it was Ken, of course. He's like the best one out there. Freaking legend he is. He said that this was the white spike concept that he did for the Tomorrow War. You can see the size difference with the human grown male on the left and the drone creature on the right. Well, their legs look a little bit different. They look more dog-like, and the arms are a bit shorter in the front, with the legs in the back looking more like the hind legs of a mammalian quadruped. He went on to saying that the white spikes had to be a powerful enemy. The director Chris McKay described the white spikes to me as vicious creatures that attack and eat everything they see. He asked for a compelling design that conveyed the hunger and intelligence of these creatures. Additionally, the white spikes need to have different abilities such as fast swimming and flying. It was important that they were agile and able to move extremely fast. It was my job to translate all of this information into one cohesive design. Because there were no clear descriptions of the white spikes, I gave Chris a few different options to choose from in the beginning. In this early stage, it was all about brainstorming and coming up with interesting ideas. In order to make them more threatening, Chris felt that they needed to have some kind of offensive weapon and asked for a plausible way of how the white spikes could shoot at their targets. I came up with the idea of spikes shooting tentacles, see, they're tentacles, and pitched the idea in a sketch. Chris and everyone else loved the idea and wanted me to develop that particular design further. I think it became one of the more memorable features in the design. After that sketch got approved, I created a 3D model and a few renderings that were presented in the studio. So this was, wow, man, this was amazing. This was really amazing, and I know that looks freaking weird. Alright, Geiger. But that really translated well in the movie, and these monsters really were a force to be reckoned with. Their strength and intelligence was showcased in how they behaved and communicated with one another. And I'm sure that's what the pilot aliens of this other planet were thinking when they looked at these creatures from their world, or possibly from another world. It's almost like what they did with the xenomorphs. Anyways, what questions did you have about these creatures? Thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.